Hello, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Panoptic Gamers podcast. On this episode, Chris and I will be speaking with Rachel Wallen, who is an avid mobile gamer. We will be talking about various genres of mobile games, spanning from match 3s to farming simulators to companion apps. And don't forget to visit snaptocover.com for new content, like Tobin's devlog series. Oh, and coming this Tuesday, we'll be resuming our live stream playthrough of The Secret of Monkey Island. If you miss out on that, we will be posting the recording of it on YouTube and posting links on the site. We always snap to cover. Enjoy the show! So, my name is Jeffrey Aaron.
I'm Chris Barone.
We have with us our guest, Rachel Wallen, who also happens to be my wife.
Yep. Hi!
And today we're going to be talking about some mobile games. So how about we start talking about, let's define what a mobile game is. So I would say a mobile game is something that we all gamers are familiar with, I guess, in that they are games that we install onto our mobile devices, such as phones, tablets, maybe laptops, that are, quick games.
I think you're skipping the whole genre of Game Boys, 3DSs, Vitas.
Oh, yeah.
Good
yeah, that's true.
point.
Everything on your phone, everything on your tablet, everything on your little handheld devices. Something that you can hold in your goddamn hand
That's
and
fair.
bring somewhere else.
That's fair. Okay.
That is a mobile game.
All right. So what are our familiarities with mobile games? So I haven't really played with any sort of DS or Game Boy Advance. I mean, I've played some that other friends have had, but I mostly only really play with either like a Kindle or my phone. So I usually have games on my phone.
I didn't have a lot of experience with mobile games. You back in the day there was the Game Boy, and I remember some of my friends had the Game Boy, and I remember like the Mario World, and it was like the coolest thing ever. And it's like, holy crap, it's a video game, and you can play it on the bus when you go to school. And I was so jealous of everyone who owned one. My parents would not get me this thing because I played so much Nintendo as it was that they would not just give me another game that I could play like outside.
Yeah.
Like if they forced me outside, I would I would take the Game Boy, just play video games out there. So
yeah, my parents were very against me getting any sort of Game Boy or anything like that. They wanted me to socialize, so they didn't want me to be distracted and just be walking around the playground or wherever on the bus with something taking away my attention from friends. So
it's very important when you're homeschooled. You need to get as much socializing as possible.
I wasn't always homeschooled, Vero.
Okay.
I went to school.
Okay. I never really had any game systems or devices when I was growing up, except I did have a Tamagotchi, and I'm going to count that, because that was mobile, and you had to keep the little blob alive.
That's definitely a mobile game.
I had one of those.
I had one of those too.
Good. We have that in common.
I didn't really, it was like a dinosaur thingy.
They turned into a dinosaur after they were blobby.
I guess so.
They were an egg, then they were a blob, then they were somehow a dinosaur.
It was all the rage, and I was like, all the other kids have one, and then I got one. I'm like, this isn't that great. It's kind of boring. And I keep having cleaning up its shit.
Yep. I wasn't really into any types of games, really, until I met Jeff, because he's such a gamer. And I'm still not really interested in games that are not mobile. That would be Vienna, who also likes gaming, apparently. I'm still not really interested in, like your traditional video games where you're sitting in front of your TV or your computer with the controllers, because, to be honest, I am not very good at using the controllers. And I also really like the fact that I can take my games anywhere. So, I've been playing mobile games for about 5 years since I got a smartphone, and then last year my fantastic husband gave me a Kindle for my birthday, and I'm slightly more obsessed with mobile gaming now. I would say slightly. What would you say, Jeff? Slightly?
I'd say quite slightly.
Yeah. Sense
Quite.
sarcasm.
Quite slightly.
It's like
well,
a bit much.
what does it for you? Because I mean, you're someone who, like, for me, mobile games are kind of like, when you're used to like something a much larger and in-depth caliber, like,
Oh,
it's
but
like
I never
taking,
was used to that.
it's like having, you're used to having dinner, and then when you play a mobile game, you're just having like a light snack in place of
I
dinner.
really
So it's
like
like it'll
snacks.
hold you over, but it's not gonna last for me
So then you
with
just
a
have
lot of these
another snack.
games.
Right.
Yeah,
But by
well,
that token, you have a huge number of games on the market for mobile platforms.
Would you like to know how many games I have on my Kindle?
How many games do you have on your Kindle?
Well, I'd say on my phone I have only 10. On my Kindle I have 67 currently.
Okay.
Of those I'm currently playing 5, I think.
Okay, so you have a lot
Or
of
6.
ones that you haven't touched in a while.
Yeah, that either I beat or I've kind of lost interest in because, one level was just way too frustratingly hard.
well, yeah, that's kind of the thing though. It's
Yep.
like you go through them like candy, and the other thing is that they're abundant like candy. So there's nothing that stands
It's
out.
true. And from time to time I will go back to one that I haven't touched in a while. Yeah, I'll be less frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm also very distracted by this cat who's in Jeff's lap
Well,
right
don't
now.
be distracted by the cat.
Let's see.
I want to kind of go back to the controller aspect because Rachel, you said that you didn't like how normal controllers, keyboard, mouse movements, and like game system controllers act. It's interesting that you say that because I find it actually harder to interact with a game on a touchscreen. So I'm sorry, I just find that interesting.
That is interesting. But then again, I guess you're used to playing with controllers, and I didn't really grow up that way anyway. And then you were always way, way, way better than me at those games when we started playing them, so I was just kind of like, there are too many buttons. I don't remember what they all do. You're going to beat me anyway.
That's true. Yeah, when I was growing up, I never really had any game systems to play with, other than one at my friend's place that I frequented. But other than that, I mean, it was only really my computer that I had.
I think everybody had that friend who had coolish stuff at their house. You go over there.
Always.
Yep.
Always. I remember
Or better
one
snacks.
person had an Atari, and it was so cool because it had these joystick thingies, and then eventually the Nintendo happened.
Yeah, my friend had an N64, and we used to play the Power Rangers game all the time. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's adorable.
It was my favorite.
I mean, when we had an N64, it was always Mario Kart. Mario Kart 64, man.
Yeah.
That was the game.
Well, he had Mario Kart too, and we played that too. But it was me and my sister used to go over to his house because he was like right next door, and we played N64 a lot. So, but we're getting sidetracked now.
Anyway.
So back to mobile games. Yeah, so the controllers are an interesting thing to talk about.
Controllers, to me, the controls on games, mobile games, are limited. You have to, because you have a limited screen, which is also your controller at the same time.
That's what I like.
Everything's taking up
there aren't enough
valuable
buttons to
real
confuse
estate.
That's true.
So you have to keep your games. So aside from the need or the demand for a simple game to be simple, rewarding, you also have a need for this to be simple as well. You can't have complexities in the game, otherwise it becomes exponentially more frustrating than any other type of game that you're creating.
That's true. I mean, if you have like pure just movement, then it becomes a lot easier because all you have to worry about is moving your fingers either from one side to the other or just in one place on the screen.
Tapping.
Or
something
tapping
like that.
something. So definitely reducing the number of kind of actions that you can take or buttons that you can press definitely makes mobile games a lot more appealing.
One of the I want to state is one of the actual mobile games that I will keep coming back to is a game called Burrito Bison.
Please explain what that game is about. I'd love to know the premise of what was it?
The storyboard of Burrito Bison is that Burrito
Excellent
Bison.
Name.
He's a kabuki wrestler, I believe.
Of course he is.
I think that's the word for it. He's those Mexican wrestlers.
Oh no, that's not
with the face
kabuki.
masks.
He's a
Oh, damn it.
Just Google it.
No, I know what it is. It's like there was a movie on it with Jack Black.
Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
Nacho
that's
Libre.
not the name of it.
No. That was his name.
But
Yeah, no,
so
yeah.
Burrito Buffalo.
anyways, essentially what happens is he's shopping through the store and he gets kidnapped by gummy bears. They suck him into Candyland, and then they force him to wrestle. And so your job as Burrito Bison is to escape, and you escape by you bend the like sides of the wrestling stretchy railings, and you just fling yourself out, and then you just body slam and land on various gummy bears to keep bouncing, and then you just have to get a certain distance, and eventually you achieve a certain distance and velocity, you will escape from Candyland.
Oh, it's one of those like bouncing platformer games.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it's
I
a
love
very
those.
Like Doodle.
it's a very
Yeah, it's like
kit
Doodle Jump.
and cannon concept kind of deal.
Okay.
And the thing is though, yeah, so as you're going through the game, you can tap the screen and that'll force your guy to bounce down. And during the game you will hit like upgrades, and these upgrades trigger quick time events usually. That's all they are. Like one is a glider where you'll start going up and then you can tap the screen again and it'll do another whoosh up, and then that's the end of the glider.
Oh, it's side scrolling.
Yeah, side scrolling bouncing.
I don't do side scrolling.
And then there's like every item has a different sort of like mechanic to it, but it's very similar to a tap. Like
Right.
one of them is you're in like a bubble gum, and when you're in the bubble, you tap as fast as you can, and it'll give you a little bit of speed and altitude every single time. But yeah, and it's a very simple game. You buy upgrades, you get money, you fail, but it has and it actually has a very, I don't listen to the soundtrack very often, but it's a very, very great, it's a good epic soundtrack. You get really pumped for it if you ever listen to it.
That's another thing. I don't do the soundtracks.
Yeah, neither do I. I
Listen
mean,
to any of them.
I usually mute my games
Yeah,
anyways.
I mute all of my games.
yeah, all the mobile games are muted, but I did listen to it once, and I'm like, wow, someone put a lot of time in this music.
Yeah, actually, a lot of them are actually pretty catchy. I found that which one is it?
I don't know. I never listened to any of them. Like,
So-
not even once. My
But this
Kindle's
game,
always
yeah.
on mute.
This game is not like, it's very simplistic. It's very simple. It's essentially a tap on the screen. You just have to know when to tap.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's all you're doing in the game, and it'll definitely get me through subway rides. But and I'll keep coming back to it because I haven't really found anything anymore that's as satisfying as that, and as like I don't have to put in the effort of finding another game or like keep a constant commitment like Farmville or something like that.
that's true.
I see. Here's the difference between Farmville 1 and Farmville 2. Your crops don't die anymore.
So they've made it easier. in
Wait, they
Farmville
don't die?
They
I thought
don't
they
die
never
anymore.
died.
No, they used to die in the first one.
If you didn't harvest them after a certain amount of time, they probably died or
Yep,
something.
they did.
Oh.
Okay, wait. So I have a big question for this. I have never played Candy Crush.
Okay.
I did for a brief stint.
You played?
I've never
okay.
played Candy Crush, but I have started playing this game called Two Dots, which is a very simplified version of all those kind of games.
Is that the game that you're talking about on our previous?
No, I just
No, it's a new
I just
system.
started playing Two Dots. The one that we talked about in the previous podcast is Triple Town.
Oh, and that was like bears and stuff.
That was my fault. I totally got Benny into that game.
But anyway, so I never understood the appeal of Candy Crush because to me it just looked like a Bejeweled game. That's it.
Essentially, they're similar. I mean, it's a match 3, but it's challenging and it's not. It doesn't require a lot of thinking, so it's fun. Like, I don't like when people call games mindless because I don't think. Like, I don't use them for that. I think my mind is always going. Like, there is no mindless. But anyway, this is what people use for, to kill some time for when they're bored, whatever. It's just challenging enough, but without having, like, a storyline or whatever that you need to follow.
I thought Candy Crush had a storyline. I mean, it's a loose storyline,
Yeah, like a
but
really
it
loose
still
one.
has a
You
storyline.
can play it and completely ignore the storyline, and that's fine. Like, you can play the game without it.
So I guess to answer your question, Vero, the game just has a bubbly appeal. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and it just releases the endorphins when you do stuff
It's
and you unlock
exactly
things.
the right amount of challenge.
It's got the right amount of yay factor to it.
Yeah, and I know with this game Two Dots that I've been playing, it's essentially, it's the same thing.
It's a match
It's just
3.
that it's very, very simplified. It's all it is. It's like a blackboard
With several dots.
with different assorted dots, and you have to match them up and get rid of them. And then some levels have eventually you get to one level where it has like an undersea sort of feel to it, and then in that one you have to get rid of these little anchors, and you can't match them with anything, so you have to drop the anchors all the way to the bottom, and then once they hit the bottom they disappear, and that counts as getting rid of them.
Yep.
And then later on, I'm at the next stage where you're in this like ice world, and what you have to do is you have to break each square has like an ice square on it.
This is exactly the same game
Yeah,
as Monster
it's the same
Busters,
thing.
which
But
I'm
so and
currently
you have to
playing.
like break. You have to match bubbles underneath it for it to like go to the next stage of breaking the ice, and then after like three matches, it breaks that square. So then you're essentially breaking that ice.
That also seems like a big factor with most successful mobile games. Is there's a sense of repetition, but there's also a sense of progression,
Mhm.
Right.
where they mix these two together. Because like
Absolutely.
with Burrito Bison, you will clear, like, you start off in a stadium background, like you're in a stadium, and then you're bouncing your way out of it, and then you'll hit a wall, and if you're going fast enough, you'll crush through that wall, and suddenly you're in the city, and you're bouncing through the city, and then you'll crush through another wall, and you're in the out country, and finally you have to do the final wall, which is breaking like the plastic barrier of the gummy bear box or something like that.
Right.
And yeah, there's like a real sense of progression during the game as you get further and further, and it kind of makes you want to keep trying. And yeah, definitely progression is definitely a very important.
Yeah, you kind of have to have that. And it's funny
Addiction
because
factor.
the kind of thought that goes into, or the design process that goes into those kind of like barriers are very small. Like you can come up with, oh, this block can't be you just come up with like one block, and you're like, destroy this block 3 times, and then that'll count as a thing. Or
this one only slides to the left or the right.
This one only slides to the left or right, and the only way you can get rid of this one is that this has to happen. So you're essentially setting like conditionals to certain blocks, and then, but you're only putting. I mean, you could come up with those in like 5 minutes. Adding those to a game, and adding maybe, I don't know, like 30 levels, just having to do with that particular block. It's not that hard. I mean, you're essentially just making sure that the game will, it's actually winnable.
Yeah,
that's all you have to really do.
That's actually how Monster Busters is set up, which is another match 3. But it's there's like a chunk of levels that are all like you have this thingy that blocks these certain kinds of places. It's like a different thing for each one of those levels that gets in your way that you have to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that leads into the next part, which is the fact that a lot of these match games, the only way that you can kind of get around just crushing it and just going through the levels is to have lives.
This is my second biggest pet peeve about mobile games, is that
and
you either use up your lives, you either have to, like, you have 5 lives to get as far as you can in the game, and then you either have to purchase more or wait a certain amount of time for each life. I played one game where you had to wait like an hour for each life, which was ridiculous. The shortest I've seen is 5 minutes, which is totally doable. You distract yourself for 5 minutes and then you can play again.
Yeah.
An hour is stupid.
So there's the lives, right? And I guess different games do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So with this game Two Dots, You essentially, if you use up all your
I
lives,
didn't even know that game had lives.
yeah, it does. But it's not as annoying as I would have thought. Like I saw it and I was like, oh god, this is gonna have
That's
lives
'cause
and I
you're
have to
only
wait an
playing
hour or
one
something.
game with lives at a time.
But then
I'm playing 6.
That's true. But the thing is, as you play, like it has kind of like a timer that's going, and it's kind of like a progress bar where if while you're playing you succeed and you have maybe 1 life left, right, and you succeed and you're playing the game, and you're just like kind of killing time with it, it actually still progresses that life bar. So you'll gain life as you're playing.
Yeah, most of the games I play do that as long as you have less than like
okay.
like if you only get 5 and that's the most you can have at once.
Yeah.
As long as you have 4, it'll keep going.
Yeah, this one is always ticking until it gets to the maximum.
Yeah.
But so like I think if you deplete all your lives, you have to wait 15 minutes for it to get to full, but you can play once it hits like your first life back.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty typical,
you don't have to wait like too long, and usually by that point you get frustrated at that level anyway, so you take a break from it. So I mean, I don't have as much of a problem with it as I thought I was going to have.
And for me, taking a break means just switching to another game until my lives in the first game are back.
Yeah.
So I mean, it can be frustrating to have that system in place, but I think it's also there just so that you don't go nuts with the game.
It's also there so that they make money.
That too. It's a money. What is it called?
If you want to play more, pay me money.
99 cents.
Oh, I mean, there's also monetizing. That's what it is. There's also other ways that they monetize the game where they
you can buy boosters.
They put in like boosters, or they'll have like items you can get that give you better, faster abilities or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess you could call that boosters. Yeah.
Going to PAX in the past, they always have the indie games booth, and I always love to check that out. And a lot of these games are always mobile games. One of the games I checked out in a few years, I think it was 2 years back, was Jack Lumber. It was in development at this point.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was a really interesting game, but when they first presented it to me, it was like, okay, so you just trace lines through logs.
Actually, is that the one where he's like trying to avenge his grandmother or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was the free app of the day on
his
Kindle last week. And I almost bought it, but I was just like, I didn't like Fruit Ninja. I don't think I'm gonna like this game.
That's very Fruit Ninja-esque. Yeah.
So they all, man, every time they're like, oh, it's kind of like Fruit Ninja. Those developers at the creator of Jack Lumber, like, we hate you.
No, but
that was really funny though. Just shoot you a look. They're like, god damn it.
Yeah, it's not like Fruit Ninja, damn it.
It's logs, and you're avenging your grandmother. It's totally different. Yeah.
But I find out that's what you end up doing anyways, is comparing one game to another.
Right.
You say, this is a lot like this, and this combined, or this game. It's a lot like this. Yeah.
So it's very interesting, like how people have to come up with they try really hard to come up with a very unique idea, and it's a very hard thing to do. And with Jack Lumber, what they had a semi-unique idea, and when they presented it at PAX East, it was still kind of being fleshed out with the concepts and the storyboard and everything, and they basically had some prototypes made, and that was about it. And to be honest, it was rough. It was like, this is cool, but this is not really a game yet, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even the concept was and still, like, if you see the concept of today and then, it's it's almost identical, but they've done minor things with it last time I saw it that make it seem like an entertaining game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to try the finished product because I wasn't interested enough to buy it, and it's not free, and I don't have an iPad, and doing it on your phone just seems incredibly too small to do it.
Well, it's on the Amazon App Store now too.
Yeah.
Which means it's Android.
Right, but at this point you have to pay for it. And
it was the free app of the day, but I think it was only like $2 maybe. Like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I know, it's probably cheap, but I'm not gonna do it anyway. And so then, but it was funny to see it develop in the concept, because like what they did at first was they kind of just went through the story. A tree killed your grandma, and your best friend's a beaver, and you're gonna go kill some trees. And that's great, but then if you see like the advertising they do today, the humor is just way over the top, and it's like you kind of just want to buy it based on the concept of the humor that they sell it on, because it was really quite an entertaining ad for that when I saw that in later the next year for the Boston Postmortem indie development when they talked about how they brought this to market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they showed like the commercials for it as well in their presentation to show you how they kind of used everything to sell it. And so then that brings me back to PAX 2014, PAX East 2014. There's another game that I saw, and it was based on I don't know.
Was
a game.
Was it that cat explosion one? That was
No,
pretty funny.
Oh God, Astronaut Kittens?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh, that was a great game, but that was
awesome.
That was a social game. That was for Xbox.
Was it?
Yeah, it was just for Xbox for the store. It was a 4-player game, remember? And it's basically it's just a tiny little mini game of pumping your cat up with a bunch of explosives, and then just shooting it off into orbit. And then afterwards, when you die, you can shoot fruit at the other kittens or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I noticed a lot of games at PAX East in that indie booth were games that you couldn't buy or you couldn't play yet. They were all like just concept games.
Yeah,
and
Girls Love Robots just came out on Android.
Yeah,
really,
and I'm not paying $5.
It was so annoying because you were like, this looks really interesting. Can I play it? And they're like, oh no, we don't have it developed yet.
No, but you can have a button.
But
so
you can remember
it in like 2 years.
Yeah, you can have a button.
Wow,
because
I've had the Girls Like Robot coasters for I think
I still have them,
2
but
years
that's
now.
also because I collect robots and they have
I know.
robots on them, so they are part of the collection.
I just need coasters, so I use them.
You need coasters.
Needed coasters. I have some nicer coasters now. They're like marbly or slate, I think.
Adult coasters.
You have
adult coasters. They have adult drinks on them.
I'm pretty sure the robot ones did too, but
No,
but yeah,
I mean like pictures of like martinis and shit.
Yeah, but like a lot of the games that they had there weren't games that you could actually interact with, which I was upset with.
And then you forget.
You mean own? You mean own?
Well, yeah,
You could usually
ones that you
interact.
could play with. I mean, even the ones that you could play with, they were like, "Oh, this isn't working right now. We're just still trying to get the bugs out."
That's because this is where they showcase that shit. This is kind of the reason you go to these conventions, because it's like this is something that no one else has right now. No one else.
And you can have it for 2 more years.
Right, but think of it.
You can
think of
try
this
it
way.
out.
Think of it this way: if you're developing
it's exclusive.
if you're developing a game, and you're not done with it, why would you go to a like PAX East and showcase something that you can't have people try out, that you can't
Because
even show.
You have to get that spot like a good 10 months in advance of the show, and then you have 10 months. You're like, I can get that game done, and then it doesn't happen.
People are just gonna forget about it.
Like, did you ever see Indie Game?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that documentary?
Yes.
It's just it's primarily about indie developers just stressing the fuck out when they trying to get their game ready for like conventions and trying to get it out on time and everything. All
right, we should get back to mobile games though.
Tangent over.
Well, my other part with this Jack Lumber thing was there was another game, and it was very dark. It was incredibly dark. Like they're like, oh, we have this concept where you have to stick your finger, like how you physically touch a pad. So they're like, oh, well, we'll represent a finger on the board, and you have to go through like a bunch of different obstacles on it. And if you like let go of your the board, then you get shot. And it's like some really crazy underground sport, and I'm like, holy crap, this is incredibly dark.
Yeah, I don't want to play that.
This game, you have a good concept, but it's incredibly dark and violent. Like you gotta lighten it up here a bit.
Yeah.
This is not a game I want to play.
I mean, they do start off with your grandma getting killed, so.
Well, that's a different game. I'm talking about another game.
Oh, they were talking about the log game.
What I was saying was I mentioned Jack Lumber because I was trying to make another a segue into another game that didn't have a concept it developed.
All right. So let's see. What do you want to talk about?
Do you have bullet points over there or something?
Rachel does.
No. I'm not a teacher or anything.
Oh, competition, yeah. So there are a lot of mini games and games that you compete with.
I think
Right.
most of the games that I play, you can either play competitively or you don't have to. I typically don't play competitively just because I don't care. I'm playing it to play it, not to like be the best down of a bunch of people I've never met.
Yeah, and social and mobile games. I mean, let's kill off like 3DS and let's go back to just like iPhone games and
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that's
Well,
what we
you-
were talking about.
Yeah.
in the first
So,
place.
well, you have like leaderboards,
Yeah.
and the competitive nature with that, but you also have games like Space Team.
Leaderboard is like the unattainable. Leaderboard is like you have attained a rank
But
that
it's still competition. You're still
Yeah,
aiming
you're
to
still
beat other people
you're still
out.
competing.
yeah, but that's such a cheap and easy way to implement it. Everything has that.
That's true, but I wouldn't discount it. But for as another example, you could say like a game like Space Team, or what is it called?
That's co-op.
Or
It's
like
co-op,
which-
but you're still
Space Team is,
I
I gotta
played
admit,
that
is
game.
the most ingenious mobile game I've ever played.
So
I love this game.
So for those of you who don't know what
Like
Space Team
me.
is, like Rachel, what it is you link up all your devices. Each one of your devices, you're kind of like this team in a spaceship.
Oh no, you
and
told me
you're-
about this game like 4 times and I keep forgetting about it.
Yeah, you're in a team. You're a part of a team in a spaceship, and each of you has a different layout on your console. And so what will happen is things will appear on your screen saying like turn the switch to 3 or turn the knob to off or something like that. And you might not have that on your screen, but you need to communicate that to the rest of your team so that someone who on your team who does have that has to do that option. And if you don't do it, then your ship gets like ripped apart and you have to fix it, and then you just go through space and try and
But
survive
is that
black holes
actually
and stuff.
competitive or is it just
So
no, it's cooperative.
It's cooperative,
Yeah. Okay,
but
so that's not what I meant.
but aren't there other games like that are cooperative, but you're also competing against other people?
I
no
haven't
idea.
really heard many. There's like a game that somebody, one of our friends mentioned one time that I never really checked out called Quintet.
Oh yeah, I have that on my phone. I've never played it
Yeah, me neither.
because no one ever wants to play it.
You know, like I've never played it at all, but like someone was like, "You should get this game, and we should do this someday," and we never did.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like with Space Team, one thing is it's a social game. It's not a game you play by yourself. You have to play with other people in the room, and you have to talk to them. And all your devices is just a medium for that. Where every other game I've ever played, it's not using your computer, the computer on your phone to like play a game. It's a game encapsulated on the system itself, is like what other games are. But Space Team is a game where it's outside of just your phone.
Right.
It revolves around having multiple phones and multiple people to play with.
Right, but that's what a social game is.
Right, so that's a social game, not necessarily a competitive game. Like, you could say
Okay.
that, like, Words with Friends is technically a competitive game. You're competing with somebody you know.
Yeah. Okay.
There are a lot of word games that I play that are competitive like that, in that you have to play with an actual person. And I don't always love those because I dislike having to wait for the other player to make their move. That's not why I play my mobile games. I play my mobile games because I want to be entertained or be stimulated right now, not play my word and then wait 4 hours because somebody's at work and is actually doing their job rather than playing Words with Friends with me. Those
Yeah.
kind of games.
The friend you're playing with is not on the toilet right now, so they can't
The
they
friend
can't
you're
play
playing
their
with
word.
is a normal human being and a contributing member of society and cannot complete the game right now. So those games are not typically my thing, but there are also other games where you can join, like there are parts of the games like the leaderboard or the weekly what is the word I'm looking for? the weekly challenge or championship or whatever that you could join if you wanted to, but you don't have to.
So Words with Friends had two things going for it. One, it was free. And two, it redefined Scrabble, because Scrabble always had the effects of you're in the same room with this person, so there's a sense of accountability, and you can challenge people for words. In Words with Friends, it was if it's legal, you can put it on the board.
That's
So
true.
this is what happened. People would play some bullshit words, some bull crap. Like, you didn't know that was a word. You just kept putting letters on a board until it worked, I
I
think.
played with people
I've done
who
that.
knew how to spell, so that didn't happen a lot. I don't think
I've
ever-
put random letters on the board and tried to see if it worked.
This is why I don't play Words with Friends anymore.
Because you're like, oh my god, there's a triple word score right there, and I have a
Play
Z.
Words with
Yep.
I'm going to
Fraction.
do
I don't play
every
Words with
single
Friends with
combination possible.
You just put a Q in it and you get like 1,000,000 points.
Yeah.
Jackson. You guys suck.
So that's why I
Anyway,
hated that
that's
game.
technically a competitive game. That was fun for a while, but then, people lose interest, and suddenly you have no one to play with, and that's no fun.
So you said that the leaderboards are kind of unattainable glory, but I kind of disagree because
I
they
don't know.
have
In Farmville 2, I was on the leaderboard.
they have in some games they have the ability to connect to Facebook and connect to Twitter and stuff like that, and then your scores will kind of be up there, and then you can kind of look at your friends' scores and see if you're beating them.
Or in, like, Farmville 2, when they have, like, because I play that game. It's cool. They have, like, for their, like, holiday-themed things that they have, there would be a leaderboard, and whoever's, like, in the top 10 gets some special prize or whatever, but it would be the top 10 out of, like, your group of 30 or 50 people, so it's not unobtainable, which makes it more fun. Like, I don't play the ones that are unobtainable because they're unobtainable, and that's no fun. But if I feel like it's something I could actually win, then I'll probably try.
Right, the straight up leaderboards are just kind of stupid because
I guess those
essentially
are like mini
the
leaderboards.
creators of the game give themselves like millions of points and like, oh yeah, I'm at the top of the board.
Or like people who don't have jobs or spouses or significant others or pretty much anybody in their lives, not even a pet, who have lots of time to sit there and gather millions of points.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying. It's like, if you get a general leaderboard, then you're going to see, like, that's going to be the best of the best. So, you don't have the time for that. And do you really want to?
I do not
Right.
want to have the time for that.
But like I said, there are games that allow you to
I
view
agree.
like your friends' scores, and you can at least beat them.
Yeah, most of the games
that kind of gets rid of all the fluff of the leaderboard because you're like, I don't know who the hell this guy is.
That said,
Who
I
has, like, a
also
ton of points.
don't usually care if I'm beating my Facebook friends or not because, the average person has hundreds of Facebook friends. How many of those people do you actually, like, count as real life friends? I don't care if, like, somebody from, like, elementary school who I haven't spoken to since elementary school but somehow we connected on Facebook is beating me in a specific game. I don't really care.
But the difference is you know that person to some degree.
Yeah, sure.
On a leaderboard, you're like, XYZXXX. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Like, there's random people that are playing this. You don't care if you beat them or not.
I don't generally care if I beat any of my friends. I'm just playing to play.
Yeah. There's a fun fact I read somewhere that the average person can maintain about 150 acquaintances.
That's a
These
lot.
are like real people acquaintances.
Like
Yeah.
friends or like people you work with?
Like actual acquaintances.
I mean, I'm only ever connected on Facebook through these games when they offer me, like 600 coins if you connect to Facebook or whatever. Like, I don't
hate
actually
that.
use it for anything.
I hate it.
I hate
That's
it,
such
but
a pet peeve of mine.
yeah. But whatever.
No, I just feel so I feel so sick if I ever try to do that to one of my friends.
Makes me feel cheap.
No, like I never send like the invites to friends, but if it just wants me to connect and wants to randomly post on my wall, I don't care because that's not going to show up on anybody's newsfeed. And I'm barely on Facebook these days anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, I don't even want it to show up on my newsfeed or anything like that. I don't do any game really that will
severely
link to my Facebook
limits your
account.
mobile gaming,
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
it?
that's kind of the
I
trend
know.
of how it's going.
Which makes
know.
perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, it gives you that ability to connect with your friends in some way and make it feel like it's more of a social game than it actually is. Like, you can have Solitaire, and it
I
still
have that on my
has
Kindle.
for some reason connects to Facebook, and you can tell people you play
Oh, hey,
Solitaire.
I'm playing Solitaire. You should play Solitaire too, even though it's a free game and nobody's gonna earn anything if you play it.
Or cares
It's,
if you
it's
play.
to me, I view it as just basically it's a free game, but what it's doing is like saying, hey, I'm free, but in order for me to be free, I'm taking some space in your feed and using it as advertising real estate.
But
Well, yeah.
nobody looks at
It's all
my feed
advertising
anymore.
and monetary.
Yeah, but it makes me feel like I'm selling myself.
yeah,
When it
makes
makes
you
it makes
cheap.
me feel a little bit like a whore.
My ADD
Little
says
bit.
you need to stimulate me immediately, so get this game now. Who cares if it's on Facebook?
Yeah.
I do want to kind of switch gears and talk about companion apps real quick. I know I don't know if
What
you'll
are
have
those?
you
What are those?
probably won't have a lot of experience with these, Rachel.
Oh,
but
so why am I the guest on your
well,
podcast?
because I kind of want to go over it. It's a mobile app.
I
So
think I know what you're talking
so
about.
companion
I
apps
don't at all.
for those of you at home playing the home game are apps that if you buy, say, Assassin's Creed or specifically Watch
Real
Dogs.
games that are not
um,
mobile.
Ones that are on a console or something. And then it says, oh, hey, we also have this companion app that you can play while you're not playing this game on the console.
Does that include the games that go with TV shows and movies?
Yes, I would say so.
Like the
So like
Game
there's
of
other
Thrones
apps.
game?
Yeah, so there's like a Game of Thrones game. But like it's basically an app, a game or an app that goes along with something else.
It's some other thing, little buddy.
And I have familiarity
We know what you
with
mean.
this kind of game because I have Watch Dogs, and there's a companion app called ctOS. And so you kind of it's an interesting implementation because so in Watch Dogs you play as that hacker guy, but in this companion app you play as the others, like sort of like someone who's trying to catch the
government.
You sort of play as like a ctOS agent. So it's kind of like you're playing as a
CTOS?
government. ctOS is the operating system that is basically attached to everything within the city. Traffic lights, what else?
Yeah,
like
you
steam
can't tell I don't
pipes,
play this game.
and like pretty much everything in the game is connected to the internet. And so as the hacker guy, you can hack into all this stuff and disable stuff and raise the little concrete pipes out of the ground so that cars get destroyed when they hit them. But essentially, so what this companion app allows you to do is play as the ctOS agent and try and catch the guy or slow him down. And this interacts with other players that are playing the actual game of Watch Dogs. So someone who you are connecting with, you can actually interact with them within their game. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's actually a pretty neat implementation of it. I really like it. But yeah, so that's what I have to say about companion apps.
Yeah, I don't play companion games generally speaking because some guy named Jeff told me a long time ago that the games that come out that go with movies always suck. So I never play them. With the exception of any of the Lego games, those are awesome.
That's true. Those are pretty good.
But those are not mobile. Those are, you play them on your console.
So I actually have one companion app. I got the Elite Dangerous one.
They have a companion app?
Yeah, they do.
Write that down, Jeff.
It's basically just it just basically keeps track of like all you can log on and check your ships and your status of your ships at the moment.
Oh.
It's nothing too big or fancy, but I checked it out.
Okay. I thought it was going to be a little bit more in depth than that, but okay.
I think they're gonna do more stuff, but this is what they did initially.
What is it called?
It's Elite Dangerous. Just search for that on the App Store.
Oh, okay.
Companion app. He's literally searching on the App Store
I'm
right
looking
now.
for it now. But they also I also just looked at my games, and I have the WoW Armory, which you can kind of consider a companion app because you can access World of Warcraft's not only your armory information, which is your character information, but also stuff like the auction house. You can trade and sell and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I have a question for you, Jeff.
Yes.
I'm looking at your PAX East pin collection right now. Does the one that says suckatrees.com go with
Yes.
the Lumberjack game?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Okay, that's what I
So
thought. Sorry, tangent.
Yep.
It's just pretty great. It's a picture of a pine tree with a big slash through it. That says suckatrees.com.
Yep. They have a pretty good ad. They have a pretty good marketing campaign.
Just added to it a little.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like what you do on this little companion app of Elite Dangerous is like it looks like you can access your ship in your station. You could don't think you can make purchases on the ship, but let me see. You might actually be able to make purchases on the ship, but you can actually buy the commodities that are within the station too.
Speaking of purchases, after you're done telling this part, I have to tell you about my other pet peeve. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No. And yeah, basically it's a little thing and just for free advertising here, Elite Dangerous comes out in 7 days.
Awesome.
It's a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yeah. The full release should be pretty cool. But anyways, Rachel, what was your pet peeve?
Pet peeve number 1. Since I have a Kindle Fire and not a tablet that connects to like 4G or whatever, I hate games that require an internet connection to play. Because a lot of the time I do have an internet connection. Like when I'm at home or if I'm like during my lunch break at work or whatever, I have Wi-Fi. But if I'm on the T or if I'm, in the car, I can't play certain games because I don't have an internet connection. And that is really annoying. I understand there are some games you can play parts of the games, but not do, like if you trade with other players or whatever, you can't do that until you're connected. That's fine, because you can still, enjoy the game a bit. But like Monster Busters, which is currently one of my favorites, I can't play if I'm in the car or on my way home from work, because it requires an internet connection. And that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Right, those kind of suck. I've really only played mobile games on my phone, so it kind of uses just data.
Yeah, I generally play on my Kindle because it's like 3 times the size of my phone screen.
That's fair.
And
That's
I
fair.
take my Kindle everywhere. Seriously, best birthday present ever. I'm pretty sure that Jeff rused the day that he thought of this because I probably spend way too much time on my Kindle now.
Yeah, it keeps you busy.
Oh, thanks. But whatever.
You bother him less now. It was all part of his plan.
That's just mean.
Hero, don't tell her.
Hero, you still bother me. Just
You're
kidding.
revealing my plan. Well,
So anyway, internet connection.
So yeah, I'm not particularly bothered by that. I mean, I understand that a lot of games like to in real time connect to the internet to transfer scores or connect with players to play with them.
But Monster Busters is just a match 3. Why can't I play it without the internet?
I agree. I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense.
It's terrible.
But at the same time, you have
Love
those
that
other
game.
games like Diablo, which is a PC game, which doesn't really need the internet to play. You can play it.
Yeah, like
on its
Farmville
own.
2, you don't need the internet, but it's
or
better
like
with the internet.
SimCity, the new SimCity, you have to have an internet connection because
Not
you have to
cool.
for no reason, even if you're playing single player.
SimCity is now has an offline mode.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, they did that recently,
Oh, I
like
forgot
a
about
few
that.
months back.
Yeah, that Monster
It's
Busters
like-
get an offline mode. I
And
was
it's
so
like,
happy.
you're a bit late. You should have done that like the first time it came out.
In
Well,
like 1992.
yeah. But anyways,
I had the original version. It was awesome.
yeah.
It was
Not
on my
that
dad's
SimCity.
Wang computer, which is a company I'm pretty sure does not exist.
Oh man, Wang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wang.
Jesus.
That was a great name.
Yeah, it was. It's a great
Oh,
game,
man.
too. Great game. But yeah, Monster Busters. It's awesome. You have to smush monsters in order to save gingerbread men. It's awesome.
What's that alien one you have?
Alien Hive. Alien Hive is great because it's also a match 3, but it's slightly different. In that most match 3s, when you match 3, whatever you're matching disappears. In Alien Hive, it turns into the next phase of evolution of this alien race, and it's awesome. So like you have to start with, you have like 3 little alien eggs. When you combine them, they turn into 1 alien fetus, which turns into like 1 weird looking alien thing, which turns into an actual looking alien thing, which turns into some form of alien thing that turns out to be a booster that you can use later. That was a dumb
Yay.
description, but it's a really cool game. And you don't need an internet connection for that one. And it also, you don't have lives either. You can just keep playing and playing and playing. It's awesome. Everybody go play it.
So I think a good wrapping up point would be
Monsters and
saying
Aliens.
what game is our favorite mobile game.
Oh, no. Can I say, like, 5?
I
made a
I'd
list.
say your
I made
top,
a list.
top 3.
I made a
What's
list.
your top 3?
Okay, my top 3 currently, Monster Busters. Can I say 4? I have to go with 4.
Okay, fine.
Monster
4.
Busters, Alien Hive, Triple Town, and then my all-time favorite, I think, that I'm not currently playing because I beat it, is European Mystery, which is a hidden object game, which we didn't really talk about.
Oh, we didn't talk about hidden... Yeah.
Those are pretty self-explanatory. You find hidden objects, and that's those are the only kinds of games that have storylines that I actually follow the storyline and I like the storyline. The other reason I don't like storylines is eventually stories end. So I beat that game and the replay value is like nil.
The Hidden Objects game has a storyline.
Yes.
Actually,
go play it.
There's
okay?
an interesting
I'll
article.
show you my Kindle.
I forget who it was by, but they were saying that I think it was something along the lines of 98% of the protagonists in those games are female characters.
Not in the ones I play.
Really?
Yep, usually you're...
Interesting.
Well, I would say probably split evenly in the hidden object games. Split evenly.
Really?
I've played as both.
Interesting.
Yes, yeah. The European Mystery, there's 2 of them. You are a male because it takes place in, like, Renaissance Europe. And if you're a woman in Renaissance Europe, you're not getting anything done because you should be at home with your children and cooking dinner and whatever.
Yeah, but you need to find stuff around the house.
Yeah, but you're not leaving the house. And that makes for a very short storyline.
Yeah. Have you played any, hidden object games?
No, I haven't. I mean, there was always... I love those things back in, like, the 1990s in the books, and you'd have to circle, like, the objects that were hidden inside the pictures.
These are like that, but better.
Oh, yeah, like
I have a
what
list
is missing
if you ever
ones.
want names of games, if you want to play those. I have a whole bunch. Those are one of, like, the 4 kinds of games I play.
I mean, alright, so my favorite mobile game will have to stay with Space Team, because that was the most
you were gonna
original.
say Buffalo Bison.
So,
Buffalo Bison
Just a great name.
It's a close second.
so I'd say from
That's
my
nice.
favorite game, it would be Pixel Dungeon.
Not Bubble Wars?
No.
You love
See, I
Bubble Wars.
like
Pixel Dungeon.
2 Dots, but Pixel Dungeon's awesome. It's a roguelike dungeon crawler where it's very pixelated, very very simple, and when it first came out, it was so difficult because the way it works is when you first start the game with a fresh life, you kind of explore the place and you don't know what any potions or any scrolls do. But as you progress through the game and you use the potions and the scrolls, you find out what they do, and then they can kind of help you along. Like in one level, there might be a room that only has water and there's piranhas in it, but there's a chest at the other end. And if you have a levitation potion, then you can just drink the levitation potion, which only lasts for a little bit, and then you can go across the way, open the chest, take the stuff, and then leave, and then you have your loot. But if you use it up too soon to like discover what it is, then you lose the loot that you could have potentially had. So there are a lot of things, and there was also like a lot of cursed items and stuff that you put on, and you become cursed and all that stuff.
This sounds really frustrating to me because there's nobody giving me instructions.
It's very difficult, and if you die, there's no save points, so you just die. I mean, there's a save point in that if you exit the game before you die, then it saves it. So, then you can load the game up to where you were, and then you just play until you die. You basically go as deep as you can, and it's really cool. I think the farthest I've gotten was like 5 bosses down, and every 5 dungeon levels down, there's a boss.
That's like Monster Busters.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I highly suggest
I'm on
people
level
check it out
200.
because it's pretty neat, and it's very it doesn't require anything crazy, doesn't require an internet connection, doesn't require that it looks through all your contacts
So it has
list
everything
or
we
anything.
like.
It's very very slimmed down, and it's very responsive game, so it's really cool.
Okay.
So that's my favorite.
Awesome.
I could list more favorites.
So I think that's a good wrapping up point. And I'd like to thank Rachel for sticking around and hanging out with us today.
You're welcome. Ordinarily, I'd be sitting 3 feet away from you playing on my Kindle.
And so this has been the Panoptic Gamers podcast. I'm Jeff Aaron, and
this is Chris Verone. And I have one more question for you, Jeff.
yes,
What are we gonna do next month?
that's a good question. I haven't really
man.
decided about that yet.
Something about
Um,
gaming.
I know.
Games?
So
Games?
it's gonna.
Really?
You know what? It's gonna be a surprise.
Gonna be a surprise?
Surprise. Ooh.
I don't know, man. Ooh,
yes.
well.
Rachel
I
just pointed
pointed
at
to
something that is a really good topic.
You'll have to tune
You
in.
know,
to
when
find
you're
out.
pointing to things on a podcast, it's so you can totally
he's
tell
gonna
what's
tell
going on.
you
Yeah, but it's a
before
surprise.
then.
It's a
a surprise for
surprise.
the
It's
listeners.
a surprise for the
Well-
It's
listeners.
only a surprise for you for like 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more of a. I'll give the listeners a little bit of a taste for 2 months from now. I think, and after February, will be TempleCon, so we
Ooh.
might be doing a little bit on that.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're going to that.
We're going to TempleCon for one day.
We're going to TempleCon.
So that should be a lot of fun. And if you're not going to TempleCon, guys, you should probably buy tickets because it's awesome.
Because you should go to TempleCon.
Yes. Also,
You can come
PAX.
hang out with us.
PAX 2015 for life.
I don't know if anybody can get tickets
Like, just
anymore.
for this
It's
year.
too late, man.
Hey, there's
Too late
black
for
market.
tickets.
There's stuff on the black market.
You can try.
I do not condone that.
Try
I don't
eBay,
condone-
Craigslist. There's gotta be some
I
people
don't
who like realize that it's their grandparents' birthday and they have to go out to dinner or something. Who knows?
I don't condone
Oh shit!
scalping.
I can't go.
or
That's
anything
that's
like
when
that.
my grandma's gonna
No,
die.
like legally
What?
buying tickets from people who can't go. That's cool. We can do.
All right. Well,
All right.
thanks for listening, everyone. And this has been the Panoptic Gamers podcast. See you later.